Does the idea of purpose have any role to play in biology? Of course it does. Why do fish have gills? Because they need them, because they're there for a role. And you can't do biology without having some idea of purpose or biological directionality. But of course, purpose isn't something you observe. It's something you infer. In other words, you look at something and you ask, why is it like that? You assume there's some reason for it, some explanation that can be given. And for me, it's very important to realize that purpose is not something empirical that you read off. It's something that you discern by looking at things very, very closely. And that's true of life as well. You can't live life without a sense of purpose, not just for the world in general, but for each of us as individuals. Why am I here? What difference can I make? What is my role in some greater picture of reality? I think some biologists are very sensitive about using the language of purpose or the language of teleology. And certainly back in the 80s, early 90s, that would have been the norm. I think it's partly because the feeling is that this is a non-empirical notion. Or perhaps one that implies the imposition of a philosophy or a theology, or something that harks back to vitalism. This idea that there's some intrinsic, innate force within nature. But happily, the philosophy of biology has now moved way beyond this. You cannot do biology without asking questions of purpose. Things don't just happen, they happen for a reason. And immediately you're talking about at least rationalization, but really asking about purpose. And philosophers of biology like Ernst Mayr, for example, would say, look, teleology is just part of the whole biological enterprise. Sure, we need to clarify what we mean by teleology. We don't mean imposing a metaphysical system. We don't mean there's some metaphysical force within nature. We mean there's a directionality within nature which does require explanation, and the word purpose is the nearest we've got to describe that. So we've moved away from this dogmatism of about 20 years ago, and happily that's very good news.